Hello. So if you're ever wondering, what can Western astrology do for you in terms of career profiling or business profiling? Here's a short little interview that I did. I just had a little bit of fun with Megha, who's Launchpad's community manager, but she also is an entrepreneur in her own right. She runs Be Inc., which is a business consulting firm providing marketing, communications, and business support for other businesses here in Singapore. So yeah, do check out this interview. I hope it gives you a better idea in terms of what I do with astrology together with the people that I work with. Have fun. Hi, Megha.
Hi, Tonya. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And how are you today?
I'm good. I've had a very packed day with back-to-back calls, but I'm doing well and excited for this session.
Great. Okay, so how this will happen is I'm going to take you through a few indicators on your chart as well, and
Mhm.
we'll also talk a bit about your job in terms of what you do, and I'll answer a few questions. I'll take a few questions for you in case you have a few as well. Now, the question I have for you right now is, what do you do, Megha?
So I'm a business consultant. I have my own company and I have been running it since 2015 in Singapore. And I work with various clients from startups to SMEs to MNCs.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started the company, it was focusing more on like marketing, communication, PR events. But now I would say it's kind of evolved to doing things like project management, community development, business development, relationship management. So I would just say it's a bit more now strategic and advisory in comparison to what it was when I first started.
Okay, okay. And when it first started, was it like more hands-on stuff, or was it, yeah, how was it when it first started for you?
So, for example, if I would be doing communications, it would mean that I would be writing the copy for the social posts. If I'm actually writing the copy for the emails, the newsletters that are going out. But now, like just to give you an example, how it has changed is that now I do the strategy and advisory in terms of what the social media strategy should be like, what the newsletter should look like. So I'm not the one who's actually doing the posts and
Mm-hmm.
writing the copy. I'm advising on the direction in which a company should go in terms of their comms, just plan like doing more big picture thinking
Mm-hmm.
rather than doing the nitty gritties of it. And at the same time, so it's, as I said, it's become less comms now and more project management,
Mm-hmm.
where, there is like each company would have a specific project that I oversee. And either I plug into the company as a consultant. So I work with their teams to help execute, so if I'm plugging as a consultant, then it's like their teams are executing, but I am providing the strategy and the vision
Mm-hmm.
and bringing in partners on
Mm-hmm.
board. Or sometimes it's like if the company is smaller, then they want me to do the big picture
Yeah.
work as well as the execution. Then I come with my own team and help them do like A to Z, the entire work that's needed.
Right. Wow. Okay. So very business driven. Everything is business, business, business for you, which shows in your chart, by the way.
It does? Okay, interesting.
Okay. So let me just show you a little bit about what your chart's like. I'm going to share the screen right now. Where is the chart? Okay, here we go. Can you see the chart, Megha?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. So yeah, so this is your beautiful chart, and based on your birth date, birth time, and birthplace in India, you have a Pisces sun. So Sun and Pisces are generally quite pretty compassionate people. They're really all about feels. You actually go so much more by the feels than you do when rather than go for like hardcore, let's get this done kind of thing. But I would say that let's take a look at the rest of the chart as well, because it was just the Sun in Pisces that we were looking at here. So the Sun in Pisces actually is in the 12th house, and in the 12th house in astrology, it is more of something that's hidden, right? It's also about secrets, it's also about spirituality, but it's also not so obvious to everyone. So I'm not sure. There could be an element of you taking very much more like a supportive roles in terms of your work, not the main person to be in front, but much more supportive in your roles. Now, when I went through all the various planets in your chart, so you notice that there's like a bit of Pisces, there's Aquarius, there's some fire signs here, there's a bit more water, and there's Libra here in your chart as well. So when I calculated the average of all of that, you came up with two dominant archetypes. So the dominant archetype basically tells you the main personality that you operate on, and you have two sides to you. One is a Pisces side, and the other one is a Scorpio side. So you have two. Are you familiar with Scorpio?
I mean, from what I know, I have a Scorpio moon. Sorry, do I have a yeah, I have a Scorpio moon,
Yeah.
which means that a lot of my, so this is my understanding, that a
Yeah.
lot of my emotional aspects are driven by Scorpio. And
Yes.
the other thing that I know is like I have Aries rising, which means that even though I'm a Pisces sun, a lot of my outward traits may seem like an Aries because
Yes.
it's rising, and so it's my rising sign. So people may
Yeah.
not realize that I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you're so right. Because the ascendant sign in Aries actually shows the world. So this is a mask that you put out to the world. And Aries is so much more like fiery and passionate and let's get it done now and confident, and that's what you appear like to the world. But then at the back of it, there's a much softer side to you. And because you have both Pisces and Scorpio, they're both more watery. So there's a lot more emotion, a lot more feels than there is the fire and the Aries. Yeah. So you have got Scorpio here as well. So there's a lot of emphasis that you might have in terms of partnerships, relationships, one-to-one, legal contracts as well, because Scorpio's actually in the house, the seventh house of partnerships, relationships, and all that. And your other dominant archetype, which is Pisces, is covering two houses here, which is the 11th house of community, which means like much bigger groups of people, as well as a little bit more of the spiritual side, or maybe the side of you that's about helping other people who are less fortunate than you are. There's a very soft spiritual side of you as well. Looking at your what I would call your working style, you have two. So a Scorpio is more of a fixed style, and the Pisces is more of a mutable style. And you are less of the cardinal sign. The cardinal sign is the one that like goes, yes, let's start something new, let's start something new now. This may be what it appears to be because the Aries is in the rising, but actually what you're more comfortable with is the following up because of the fixed sign, and also the mutable sign, which is in Pisces, which tends to take on things and improves on them. So maybe there might be a lot of things that you like doing and a lot of things like a lot of different topics at the same time that you like doing, and you like actually multitasking. That is a sign of someone who does mutable stuff as well. So you have these two strengths in your chart too. Yeah. The other thing I was looking at as well was the sixth house ruler. So the sixth house is more about what you do on a daily basis, the products and services that you can put forth as well. And it's ruled by the sign of Virgo. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So what you can do on a daily basis and what you do really well is to be the Mercury, to be that communicator, to be the person that uses their that's a lot of mental activity going on there, but there's also this input and this output, and it's going out to large scale communities. You can see that it's all happening in the 11th house. But the way in which you're communicating is not just about data and logic. It's really more about the feels, the compassionate side, the softer side, the refined side, right? And maybe there's even more of communicating in a style that's more artistic, I would say, because Pisces is also quite imaginative and quite playful itself. Yeah. How does that sit with you, Megha?
No, I think everything you have said kind of resonates with me as well. Because as you said, it's like, sometimes people have a very basic understanding of astrology and just think it's all about your sun sign. But I think the way you have explained not just the moon, the rising, but also, as you said, the Mercury and the Virgo thing, I mean, you know me through Launchpad, right? And I'm
Mhm.
like always communicating and sharing. So, that sits so well with what I do.
Yeah, it does. It's like, okay, you are following your chart already to a very large extent. Okay, then we start looking at the 10th house, which is all about your career, your social standing, and also your the way you deal with authority figures. So I'm looking at this in terms of career and how you come about with it is actually ruled by Saturn, because the 10th house is actually Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn here. And your Saturn is a very strong one because it's very close to the angle of the house. Also, Saturn is very much about also providing that foundation for the people that you work with, or building something for people and helping them with things like working environments, processes, their daily lives, even the products and the services which they offer. So, like what you were saying, as a consultant, this actually matches pretty well as well because you are the person who sees the big picture and you help them to build that foundation as well. Yeah, with the Saturn in Libra, it's also done in a way that's fairly logical, I would say, because Libra is still very much an air sign, but it's also about how you find balance, and also there could be a very much a relational way in which you do this. So you pay a lot of attention to relationships, actually. Yeah. Is that what you do in your career right now?
Yes, for sure. I mean, like in terms of like, I would say I've been blessed or privileged enough to be in a place where I can choose clients. Not everybody has, that luxury, but I can choose to work with certain people, and it's all on the basis of the relationship I have with them. In the sense that, do I feel the vibe? Do I feel the energy? Do I feel motivated to work with them? Is the work inspiring? And so that's when I choose to take on projects and clients. And so who I'm working with is a key part. So that relationship aspect of who I'm working with on a daily basis is really important.
Yeah, because we can see, right, that there are actually three planets in the seventh house of partnerships and relationships. And yeah, I think even Saturn is kind of moved over to the seventh house as well because it's so close to the cusp. So there's a lot of emphasis that you have on partnerships too. Yeah, it's very interesting. And the one of the other indicators, which I'm sure you'd be very interested to know as well, is the second house ruler. So the second house is all about money, financial resources, how you earn and how you spend money, but it's also underlying your values or your self-worth. So there's a lot of different meanings, but ultimately, I mean, money we know as far as me, because I'm a pretty spiritual person as well, money is very much tied to my own concept of my self-worth. So money is just a commodity and it flows. It just follows where the energy goes, right? So yeah, that's the 12th house, and yours has the sign of Taurus in front of it. And Taurus is actually ruled by Venus. So how you get paid for doing what you're doing is also very much like what you just said. It's very relational because Venus is also about relationships. Venus is also about appreciation of beauty, and it's also about how you see value. There's a lot of social stuff, but it's also about how you see value. And the area in which you're working in is in a PR. It's a very public space. It's about working with authority figures, So what this can mean is it can be working with government, but it can also be working with bosses of companies, right? Because they're authority figures too. It can be about public relations, it can be about your social standing as well. And what you'll be able to see is really see the value in everyone that you come in contact with, right? And because it's in the sign of Aquarius, it's also maybe something that you can do to help them to see value or see themselves in a different way. So it's not like a conventional way. Aquarius is a very out of the box kind of sign. So it's really about thinking outside of the norm, right? It's about looking at something outside of the norm. How can you look at it differently? How can you challenge the current boundaries of what you're doing? And also, there is a bit of humanitarian in it. There's also some technology involved in it as well, with this Venus in there. Yeah. So, whatever it is that you're doing in your chart, I can see that there's a lot of things that are done on a much bigger scale because there's community, there's working with, in a very public space, and also very strong in terms of your relationships with people. Yeah. The other thing which I went to take a look as well was your psychological archetype. So it's based on a series of calculations. And based on that, your strongest is something called the Mars Saturn. So the Mars Saturn archetype is what we call the builder. And you have a lot of focus on building things up. So imagine someone who likes working very hard, and that is something that seems to come very naturally for you, especially even with your South Node out here in the area of career and in the sign of Capricorn as well. That hard work, that career building thing comes like, yeah, very natural for you. And for you, it's about the visual or the discernible results that are also important to you. And it's also very satisfying, I think, when it comes to doing your work. You do actually like to sometimes get your hands dirty, to experience it first and build things one at a time. Are you also detail-oriented, Megha?
Oh, very. So I'm very detail oriented, and sometimes that has been almost like usually it's a plus point, but sometimes it can be also like not a flaw, but not a great thing, because you can get so much into the detail that you lose the big picture. So in fact, like one of the things I'm trying to improve on over the last couple of years is that while I retain my detail oriented focus, I want to also be able to see the big picture. So to have both the perspective at the same time. But to answer your question, yes, very.
Yeah. So yes, I think sometimes with this psychological archetype, the thing is you do want to get your hands dirty. You do want to look at all the details because for you it's about that experience that you actually enjoy. But yeah, I guess, knowing this, then you can also then choose how you want to calibrate yourself in the working world as well. The thing is though, you might actually enjoy being recognized for the hard work that you put into something. There are some people who actually like to just go for a goal and I don't care how it's done, I just do it as quickly as possible. But you like to be recognized for the hard work that you put into something. So if you went into, say, looking at your business model, for example, what would probably work for you better is something that is not so goal oriented, but something that's much more, I would say, something that pays you on a retainer basis. Yeah, that's what will work for you better. Yeah.
And no, and the reason I'm laughing is that I work on a retainer basis, like that's a preferred model. So I don't like to, how some folks are like, okay, give me 50% upfront and then 50% after the project is done. So I kind of work with my clients always on a retainer basis. So it's like regular monthly payments are coming in.
Exactly, because you put in the hard work anyway into your job. Yeah, that's like Wow, that's really so amazing. I mean, like even for me, reading your chart, because I would say that not everyone actually lives their chart right now. But the reason why I picked you is because I really think you are really living your chart right now. And just reading this, I'm like, okay, yes, we pretty much confirm it. Yeah. So how is the reading for you? And do you have any other questions, Megha?
No, it was really great. I mean, as I had shared with you before, I have some basic understanding of astrology. So, what you said really resonated with me. And at the same time, I got some extra information, additional information as well, which was good for me to know. And it's always good that if it's extra information is something that resonates with you, and it's like, oh, that is so true. You think like that. But I think just in terms of question, I wanted to ask you if seeing my chart, is there something that you feel that I should be working on, or like something that I should be moving towards to kind of, maximize my potential, or just take this to the next level? Like, I'm very happy with my career, with my business right now, but how do I take it to the next level?
Um, on the different note, when I look at your chart, there is also the fact that your South Node is in the 10th house of careers. And in your life, though, besides working, there's also the other element of it, which is your family. So it's really for you in this lifetime to find that balance between work and your family, because your North Node is in the fourth house. So that might be a big challenge for you right now, balancing between the two, because the two are really pole opposites right now for you. Yeah. So the thing is for you, the whole career, the business, everything just comes very naturally for you. But in this lifetime, the other part that you do have to start learning is about your family, about your foundations, about your roots back again as well.
Yeah. No, my boys would love to hear that. And by boys, I mean my husband and my two sons, because they often are like, Mommy, why are you working? Why do you go to office on a Saturday? It's yeah. I love to
Yeah.
hear that, oh, mom has to spend more time working on the family aspect of it.
Yeah. Build your foundations at home as well. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. So how was that, Megha?
Really good. Thank you so much. I loved it. And we've spoken about this before. You were also very detailed oriented, right? You went through all the various aspects of it and covered the different houses. So I really love this. The session, you're also explaining like the different houses, what each one stands for. So for someone who was like just starting out and like didn't have an understanding, it would be very helpful as well. So great session, Tonya. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Megha, for your time.